What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be looking at the Transcend ESD240 portable SSD. Now we've got the 480GB variant here, and it's available in 120, 240, 480 and 960GB options. So out of the range of external SSDs that Transcend offer, this is one of the smallest options, and speed aside, certainly one of the reasons that I picked this model over the others. So over my testing period, I've actually been using this to edit from, which is not something you'd expect to do, as I'm actually using a secondary PC to render my videos but editing them on a primary system. This just enables me to do things a little bit quicker, and surprisingly it works very well, even to work in scrub in 4K. More on that later of course, but let's first take a look around what's on the box. Now this is using a USB-C interface, USB 3.1 Gen 2. And this is giving you up to 520 megabytes per second of read speed and up to 460 megabytes per second of write speed. As I did mention, it is using a USB-C connection, but don't worry if you're using USB-A standard size. They do include the cable in there for that. And some good news for those of you that may want to use this on a phone using an OTG connection, you can easily do that and transfer your files and photos that way as well. So let's stop waffling and get into the box. So inside you'll find some instruction manuals, a USB-C to USB-A cable, which is the one I said if you're using an older device. Now it does come with a USB-C to C cable, so don't worry, that is actually included, just not shown in this shot. And of course you've got the external SSD. Now on closer inspection of that external drive, you can see it's a lovely silver colour. It does actually appear very red on camera because of the filter light I'm using, but I will actually turn this off in the next shot so you can see what it actually looks like without any kind of additional lighting, just a pure colour of the product. But it is a very nice appealing colour and certainly does look good on your desk. I think it's very close to the MacBook Silver as well, so for anyone that wanted to use it for that, then that would match up very nicely. So going over the actual drive itself, it's just very simple. You've got a USB-C port on one side and then a small LED indicator that shows activity when the device is in use. Then on the back we've got some information as well as a serial number, and then as you've seen on the other side you've just got a simple Transcend logo. Now I'm sure by now all you really want to know is how it performs and if it's going to be good for what your scenario is going to cover. So let's just break this down as simple as I can. I've got a load of different scenarios that I've tried out and used this device on, and I think I've used it for long enough that I can give you a really valid representation of what I think it's capable of. For those of you that are into specific numbers, this is the little section for you. This is using Crystal Disk Mark 7 64-bit to show you some rough benchmark scores. Now the general trend is the higher file size that you do transfer, the slower the drive does go. That's a general rule of thumb though, that's nothing that's new just from this drive itself. But as I did mention at the start of the video, I have been using this to actually edit 4K footage on my PC, so I think it's certainly performing very well. There's no real issues with stuttering or anything when I'm playing back that 4K footage, so 9 times out of 10 this device has performed very well. The only limitation that I do find is when you're trying to do multiple tasks at once, that's when it does bog down ever so slightly. For example, you'll see on those scores there, when you're rendering 4K, it does drop down quite dramatically. One example that I did find where it did struggle is actually rendering to a drive. So this is where I said that the secondary PC I'm using came into play to actually render the files on, and I was actually editing on my primary system, just because I found that the drive couldn't do both at the same time. So I would just open the files on the secondary PC and then render the file to the desktop. Once that was done, then drag that file back onto the SSD, then go and upload it from my primary system. Hope that all makes sense. It's a little bit of a weird one just because of how I render anyway, but just rendering to the device itself, I feel because it was pulling files off of the device and trying to write them at the same time, it was just getting a little bit complex. 1080p files, you might find that to be easier though. It may just be where I'm demanding quite a lot of the drive, actually trying to render high bitrate files. Being that they're from my GH4, they are high quality bitrate files, so I'm certainly not giving it any slack. But for editing and general day-to-day use, I have found this to be an absolute solid performer. Other things such as playing back 4K footage is no problem at all. The raw files can play back absolutely perfectly using VLC. Playing back Blu-rays and movies as well, absolutely seamless. I've just used these on a basic laptop to play back through, and again, no issue there whatsoever. Basically, this drive has become a go-to storage solution for anything I want to do edit-wise, storage-wise, you know, anything, just work-wise, documents, anything we chuck at it, it can do really well. Copying and pasting multiple documents isn't an issue either. As I did say, rendering and obviously pulling the footage from it at the same time is a little bit more complex, but I would say that's a very niche user case scenario. Not everyone's going to be doing that, and for the majority of people that are probably looking for a drive, they're going to be more into the media and high file sizes that they're going to be copying over now and again. Maybe using this for photo backup, to make a secondary storage from the cloud, for example. For those kind of scenarios, this is going to be much more suited. I just feel that I'm stressing this device just because of how I use it. All in all, I couldn't really ask much more from this device. It has been an absolutely solid performer from the weeks that I've been testing it. I will continue to use this as a daily drive for my editing. I don't see any problem with it at all, and it's certainly been very reliable. And even though I do put it through its paces, and there's a couple of limitations that I found, I still think it's a really great performer, but I certainly would recommend it to anyone that wants a really small but high capacity drive. So thank you everyone for watching this video. If you do have any more comments or questions, please leave them in the comments box below. I'm aware that I probably haven't covered every scenario, so just drop a comment on what you're after and I'll answer it to the best of my abilities. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and ding that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Follow my social media down below. A big thank you to Transcend for sending this out for me to review. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.